Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the first news on 16th March newspaper front page dawn. Government calls for the resignation of CEC, other ECP members. Shafkat says Commission failed in its duty during Senate polls. Mariam Tan's demand an attack on institutions. PPP says ministers call based on modified intentions. By Amar Wasim, Islamabad still fuming over its defeat at the hands of opposition in March 3 Senate polls on a general seat from Islamabad. The government has called for the resignation of the Chief Election Commission (CEC) and all the full members of the Election Commission of Pakistan (ECP) over their alleged failure in ensuring transparency in the Senate elections. There is no option left now. The Election Commission cannot continue to function in its current state. The ECP members should collectively resign, said Federal Minister for Education Shafkat Mahmood at a news conference on Monday. The minister, however, stated that the government had no intention to file any reference for the removal of the CEC and the ECP members and just wanted to give a political response and solution to the issue. On the other hand, the opposition parties, which had only recently been criticizing the ECP over the delay in the hearing of the foreign funding case against Rooney Pakistan, Tehreek-e-Insaf (PTI), and had even held a demonstration outside the Commission's main office, came out in the ECP's defense, terming the minister's demand unconstitutional and illegal and an act of revenge over the Commission's role in the Daska by-election. Islamabad Federal Minister Shibli Faraz, Shafkat Mahmood and Fawad Chaudhry at the press conference APB. The opposition alleges that the government is intentionally awakening to the state institutions one by one. The government and the ECP have been at loggerheads after the latter decided to hold the March 3 Senate poll through secret ballot after the Supreme Court ruling because of time constraints. A day after the defeat of Finance Minister Dr. Hafiz Sheikh in the hotly contested election on a general seat from hotly in the hotly contested election on a general seat from Islamabad, Prime Minister Imran Khan had in his address to the national lashed out at the ECP and accused it of damaging democracy. In response to the Prime Minister's remarks, the ECP came out with a rare response in which it not only rebuked the PTI for being upset over its defeat in the election, but also asked the party leadership to stop mudslinging against institutions. Flanked by Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shibli Faraz, and Science and Technology Minister Fawad Chaudhry, Mr. Mahmood at the news conference alleged that the ECP did not take any action despite a clear ruling by the Supreme Court regarding its constitutional responsibility to ensure transparency in the Senate polls in accordance with Article 218, Part 3 of the Constitution. Then the minister read out the said article, which says that it shall be the duty of the Election Commission to organize and conduct the election and to make such arrangements as are necessary to ensure that the election is conducted honestly, justly, fairly, and in accordance with law, and that corrupt practices are guarded against. Emphasizing the last part of the constitutional clause, the minister regretted that the ECB had failed to fulfill its responsibilities despite the fact that there were clear evidences of corruption and the use of money in the Senate elections. Mr. Mahmood was of the view that after the Senate polls, the ECB had lost the confidence of the political parties and the people of Pakistan. He said the PTI was the biggest party having a majority in both houses of parliament, and it had lost its trust in the ECB. The other parties, he said, were also seen complaining against the commission. No political party is happy with the ECB. Everyone is criticizing it. Is there anyone who is saying the election was conducted properly? The minister asked. Mr. Mahmood said the whole nation saw that what happened in the election on the Senate seat from Islamabad, for which polling was held in the National Assembly. He said that opposition's candidate Syed Yusuf Gilani secured 109 votes against the government nominee Hafiz Sheikh's 164 votes. And soon after the election on the women's seat, the ruling party candidate bagged 174 votes against the opposition candidate's 164 votes. It is clearly evident that the corrupt practices took place. A give and take had happened. And then came the videos showing the people talking about money. He said, adding that in one of the videos, a Sindh minister had been shown saying that the rate can be increased from rupees 50 million to rupees 100 million. Mr. Mahmood said in the recent Senate polls have reinforced, validated, and vindicated the stance taken by Prime Minister Imran Khan, who had always advocated for the use of open ballot in the Senate elections to end corrupt practices and use of money. For this purpose, he said, the government had first introduced a bill and then brought a constitutional amendment to the National Assembly. Besides, he said that the government had also filed a reference in the Passcode seeking its ruling. Whether the Senate elections could be conducted through an open ballot without carrying out an amendment to the Constitution. The Supreme Court's decision was exactly in accordance with the situation. They said a constitutional amendment is necessary to change the mode of voting. The minister said, however, he said the Supreme Court had also stated that it was the ECB's responsibility to conduct a free and fair election so that was not marred by corruption as required by Article 218, Part 3 of the Constitution. The minister recalled that soon after the court's verdict, a PTI delegation met the CEC and the ECB members with a request that the Commission should make the ballots traceable while maintaining secrecy in the light of the Supreme Court decision. Regretfully, the proposal was rejected and a committee was formed to take the measure in future elections, he added. He alleged that it was due to lack of action by the ECB that corrupt practices took place in the election of the Senate general seat from Islamabad. Therefore, the CEC, Raja Sikandar Sultan, and the ECB members should submit their resignations to provide an opportunity to Parliament to constitute a new commission, he said, adding that it was a democratic way and for the betterment of the future of the country and democracy. Mr. Mahmood said that the PTI was the only party which had taken action against its members who had allegedly sold their votes in the 2018 Senate votes. We want the ECP to play the role of a natural umpire, which it is not doing, he said, recalling that it was Imran Khan who had brought neutral umpires in the international cricket. Opposition's reaction. Speaking at the news conference after attending a consultative meeting of the party, which was presided over by the Supreme Leader Nawaz Sharif through video link from London, PMLN, Vice President Mariam Nawaz turned the government's demand for the ECP's resignation and attack on the country's institutions. She said the government had always slammed the PMLN for its criticism of the state institutions, but today the whole nation had understood the difference between criticizing the institutions and attacking the institutions. Ms. Nawaz alleged that the government was upset over its defeat in the recent by-polls in Daska, Wazirabad, Nashera, and Sindh, and venting its anger on the ECP. She regretted that instead of apologizing to the ECP over the abduction of 20 presiding officers in the Daska by-poll, the government had launched a tirade against the ECP. A real former Prime Minister Shahid Khan Abbasi termed the press conference by the federal minister an unusual event, saying it was surprising that the government of the day was demanding the ECP officials' resignation. Pakistan People's Party (PPP) Secretary General Nayyar Bukhari, in a statement, said the government's demand for the ECP's resignation was based on modified intentions and victimization. Condemning the demand, Mr. Bukhari termed it laughable and beyond logic. This proves that the selected government wants selected institutions. This demand is an effort to pressurize the ECP. If the government has any reservations, then legal and constitutional remedies are available, he said. He said the PPP stood by the ECP regarding all legal and constitutional issues. And in the end, formal request, if you have not yet, please subscribe our channel and press the like and bell button to get the fresh from us. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time and goodbye.